couple of your players have been in here. A lot of talk about defense, and you were pretty blunt early that you didn't think it was good defensively at the beginning of the year. Where do you think they are now in that area?
I think some of them have gotten a lot better. Some of them obviously have gotten a lot better, and others have probably maybe stayed the same. But we have, I think, a core of guys who really have gotten better.
What makes a good defense, in your opinion?
Depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, some people want to pack it in, make them shoot shots over top of you. Some people want to go out, pressure, make them play faster than they really want to play. Some people want to take away what they feel like are the main scores and have the other people try to beat them. And, you can play really a myriad of things. You can play 1-3-1, you can play 1-2-2, you can play a 2-1-2, you can play a 2-3. And you can play any of that into something else. And that doesn't count playing full court pressure or three-quarter court pressure or half-court pressure, half-court trapping. Are you going to trap ball screens? Are you going to hard hedge ball screens? Are you going to go under? Are you going to push up? It's a lot of variations. It just depends on your personnel.
Seems like you can do some things with this group, though, because you do have some rim protectors that you didn't have last year. You got some guys that can put pressure on the ball, so you've got some variety you can throw in there.
We have one very good rim protector, and then we have another one who's pretty good.
Yes, 0 last year.
Correct. Well, that's not true. We had Derek in there.
Okay.
He was alone in there, but Derek was in there. Our ball pressure it's not what it once was, obviously. We don't have the size that we had a year ago. So, you take what you have and you try to make the most of it.
Keegan was talking about when you first brought him in here that you were kind of showing him films of Javon and saying, hey, this is what you could be, or this is what we kind of need you to be. Was that just something you saw in Kedron, or do you do that with every guard you bring in?
No, I don't do it with everyone. Keedy was one of the leading junior college scorers in the country, so we're just trying to make him understand that it's not just all scoring here. I mean, in junior college, his junior college team, every time they scored 100 points, I forget what it was, but they had so many consecutive games of scoring over 100. How most people hang up, when you win something, they hung up a deal was all the way around the gym. How many 100-point games? So I think he needed a dose of maybe knowing that we do try to guard here.
You think you can get your guys to embrace this? I mean, you've got a streak going right now of games of holding people under 60. You got to go back to your Final Four team to find a streak like this. And statistically, they've got a shot of being one of your better defenses.
You can do a lot of things if you set the schedule up the right way.
Okay.
Are we going to hold Texas to 55? Probably not. Our league is so hard, and we're trying to become more than anything else fundamentally sound. And when you become fundamentally sound and you alleviate your errors, it's hard to score through people. And I've said that 100 times. I mean, it's hard to score through people, but if you're not fundamentally sound and you can't stay between your man and the basket, obviously you're not. They don't have to score through people.
But if you can hold people down, you can stay in games. You can be in every game if you do what you're doing.
You can do that a lot of ways, John. You can do that by running the clock down. I mean, we could run the clock down to inside 10 minutes, and because of probably who we have, we could get a shot off. It may not be a great shot, but we could get a shot off. I don't want to do that. It's not, to me, that's not enjoyable to coach, play, or watch. So we're gonna keep playing. But I think it says a lot that we're holding people under 60, and we are trying to play. We're just not. We're not scoring the ball at the rate that we have scored the ball at in the past.
Last thing here on that, can you get more offense out of your defense, you think? Is there some room there?
I don't know. I think if you talk to 99% of coaches, will say you have to get sound from the basket out, and we're still in the process of trying to get sound from the basket out. And then if you get it from the basket out, then maybe you can extend your defense to half court or three-quarter court. Or in the case of having the best on-the-ball defender in the country and the best shot blocker in the country, we felt like we could extend it out because those two guys were going to make sure that people didn't run roughshod. And obviously Nate was a part of that too. I mean, Nate played with great intelligence. So it depends, man. It depends on your personnel, what you're trying to do. Depends on who you're going to play. A lot of variables.
I get a feeling you want to see more before you're going to say, yeah, we're a good defense. Is that kind of where you are right now?
We play in the hardest league in America. So, yeah, I mean, we obviously want to try to win, and that league is so hard. You know, when you look at the people in it and what the people in it have done, the coaching in it. You know, I've said it many times. I mean, we have 70% of our coaches have coached in the Final Four. There's not another league like that. There's not another league that's had as many first number one picks. There's not another league that's had as many first round picks. So you've got great coaches and great players. It's hard.
Youngstown
Is
State.
this team,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
is
ahead,
this
Bob.
team developing into what you envisioned going into the season? And has it done it at the speed you would have? Well, it never will be at the speed you hope, but
Bob, I didn't really know what we had. You know, you watch people. You watch people on film, obviously, and you know when you're trying to get guys to transfer in, and it's hard because they're not playing against who they're going to play against. I mean, I think that's the hardest thing. The hardest thing is you'll get a guy who's a great shot blocker in one of those other leagues, and all of a sudden now people are dunking over him. It's a different animal, and it's hard to tell whether those guys can step up and compete with the people that they're playing against.
Youngstown State. What are they going to give you?
Jared's done a great job of coaching them, and I think a great job of recruiting people to fit his system and what he wants to do. they really run good offense. They're very patient. They're very skilled in getting the ball where they need the ball to get to be successful. And in the half court, they're sound defensively. He's done a great job. He's done a great job of coaching.
Coach, it looked like Malik kind of really twisted his ankle there in the UAB game. Has he been?
He's fine.
He's back. Okay.
He's fine.
Schedule for you guys in terms of you cut them loose after tomorrow night. How long they gone? When do you bring them back? That type of stuff.
Well, obviously we'll bring them back after Christmas. We're probably going to bring them back the 26th or 27th. I'm not sure yet. It kind of depends on their travel plans, and we haven't really got into all that stuff yet. We're just trying to win games right now.
You feel like you're getting these guys close or near where they need to be potential-wise? Now, I've always heard coaches say, if we can get them playing to what they're capable of, it's all you can really do. You feel like there's room there for growth?
I don't know that they can play any more than or any better than what they're capable of, but we've got what, 14 guys, so that's a whole lot different than having the 12 that we usually have. It's you're looking every day at who's making progress and maybe who's not making progress, and who can fit in here and who can fit in there, and it's been a constant struggle in that some days some guys look pretty good, and then so you try them at something the next day and they're god awful. So it's we're looking for consistency. We're looking for somebody. I tell them all the time, man, I gotta be able to trust you. I mean, you guys said you came here because you trusted us. I mean, that's reciprocal. We gotta be able to trust you too.
A little bit along those lines, James Okonkwo, where is he in his development? Do you think that you can get quality minutes out of him once league play starts?
I don't know. He's a great kid. He's a extremely intelligent kid. But this is a different animal. This isn't like sitting down and reading a book and taking a test on it. This has so many moving parts. And I mean, he's competitive. He's got strength. He's got bounce. I mean, I think he's going to be a really good player. I can't tell you when that is.
I asked JB this, and he had an interesting answer. This team seems to play better with about 8 minutes to go. It's just a better basketball team from that point on to winning time. He said concentration is a big part of it. You seem to shoot free throws a little better, at least you did against UAB at that time. Is that frustrating for you to know that, if they did this in the first half, a lot of those guys would be sitting on the bench watching their buddies play, and you'd have a big lead?
I don't know about a big lead, but maybe a lead. Well, at the rate that we turn the ball over, I would say concentration probably is an issue, because we turn it over at a very alarming rate, and for no reason. I mean, really, no reason. That's an area we've got to get way better at, and that's an area that, at least theoretically, we should be able to get way better at. You're not going to run faster. You're not going to jump higher, and you're going to have to put a whole heck of a lot of work in to be able to shoot it better than what you shoot it now. But I think the concentration part of it, John, we do things every day and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but we do things every day, which is simple, fundamental things to start practice. We pass the ball every day because we struggle to pass the ball. We block out at the beginning of practice every single day, and we still don't block out. You know, it's I said this many times, it's a game of neuromuscular integration, and when you've trained your muscles to do just the opposite of what you're supposed to do, it's hard to get it flipped. I mean, that's reality. So we're trying to get guys to do the fundamental things better, and when we do the fundamental things better, we're not going to turn it over at the alarming rate we turn it over at now.
I guess the concentration falls in with the free throw shooting too. To some degree.
Yeah, that and mechanics. Probably more mechanics than anything else.
Coach, another one on Keedy. With the pressure he's putting on up top for you, did you see any of that in his game last year, or has this been kind of a surprise at all? And has it just been a matter of him making a bigger commitment to that part of the game in the offseason?
No, it's not been a surprise at all. I mean, he did it in junior college. Comparing last year to this year is difficult because he's playing against Deuce a year ago. I mean, Deuce just got, 17, 8, and 3 or something, so you're playing against a pro. So, I mean, it's to compare what he's doing now compared to what he did against Deuce isn't fair.
Much of a relief was it for you to see Keedy and a couple other guys really step up and make late game foul shots against UAB, especially when you talk about being able to have to trust those guys?
Well, I mean, I think we all thought that Keedy was very capable of doing that. I think when he wasn't a point guard in junior college. He played with a very good point guard, but he had the ball a lot, and I think that he got a lot of things going through his head. You know, he's got a lot of responsibilities defensively. He's got more responsibilities offensively. I mean, everybody wants the ball, but then a lot of people really don't want it once they get it. It's too much responsibility. And I think he enjoys the responsibility, but I think you bring guys in like that, they're overwhelmed. And you're playing against the best athletes in the country. So it's not as easy as y'all think it is.
It's been a fun team to coach.
They've been a bad team to coach. I mean, I wish some other guys had continued with the same attitude and enthusiasm that they had. You know, we got a couple guys right now that are, it's kind of like we're winning. It's all fun and games. It's not all fun and games. Seemingly, as soon as you start to feel good about yourself, somebody knocks you on your ass, and then you have to crawl back up and say, man, I got to go back to work. Well, why do you have to get knocked on your ass to start with?
Is the short holiday break good to get kids away and just sort of give them a relief, or can it be problematic?
I don't think it's ever been problematic. I mean, I think the good thing about what we do and the staff that we have and so forth, but it's pretty much always been that way. They know what's coming when they come back. So, if they can get out and run a little bit, they do. If they can get out and get some shots up, they do. If they can find a place to do that, because they know what's coming. And you go sit on your behind for 5 or 6 days, and somebody else is continuing to stay in shape, continuing to work on their shot or dribble or whatever it is that they feel like they need to work on. You're going to get passed by. That's real life, man.
Some of the guys not get to go home. I would imagine,
Yeah, some of them
Canadians
don't.
and James and some of those.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard for James to go to the UK and come back. We're not open. The borders aren't open to Canada really, so Gabe can't go home. But they go home with other people. The reality is, unless it's a girlfriend, they spend time with each other anyways. So it's not as big a deal as what you would think it was if you didn't have the kind of camaraderie and friends that those guys have.
Wondered.
Have you seen Jalen's commercial yet?
I don't watch. I try not to watch it, Bob. I'm trying to.
I mean, he's kind of seems to be a little torn between acting and basketball.
You know how dangerous it is to close your eyes coming down the hill from the mile ground. And I glanced up there and I saw Sean up there on the billboard. I about wrecked. So I try not to look at that stuff.
Curious. Look at your stats, and they're not really impressive. Your shooting, your three-point shooting, rebound efficiencies. Yet you've got 10 wins. Why? Turnovers is another area.
Well, I think the one thing I hope that everybody learns here is to compete. And so we compete. There were a whole lot of people when we were down 8 in Birmingham thought it was over. But we competed. We haven't been as talented as the upper echelon of our league since I got here. We weren't overly talented in the Big East. We haven't been overly talented in the Big 12. But we've played with a lot of heart. And we've had good players, don't get me wrong. We've had good players. We haven't had the first pick in a draft like other people have. We haven't had 2 or 3 pros on the same team. I think once or twice maybe we had 2 pros. But the year that we had 2 pros, we went to the Final Four. So we're just we're gonna compete. We're gonna line up and compete, and we're gonna, but it's not the size of the fight and the dog, but not the size of the dog in the fight, but rather the size of the fight and the dog. I did get it right second time, Bob. You got to give me second time. Second time was it.
Do you think that's underappreciated today?
By who?
Well, fans, people that vote in the top 25.
I would say
fans.
this: people who know college basketball appreciate it. The people we play against certainly admire and appreciate it, without a question.
Has there been any difference? I saw Youngstown's guard Covington played the first few games and then suffered a season-ending injury. Have you seen any sort of a difference in the way they play or kind of how they play with him in and out of the line?
No, they're. Jared has worked a system that almost won him a national championship at Fairmont, and took that to Youngstown and did a great job with it.
Jalen kind of echoed your sentiments about him being a little more assertive. To you, what does that look like out of him?
What, that he echoed those sentiments?
No, like, what does Jalen playing more assertive on the offensive end look like to you?
Well, I've said this multiple times. I thought running a 3-stack at the top of the key would be great for us because we could break people out of there, and Sean, Taz, and JB that could make shots. And then you have a guy with the ball and a ball screener, and there's your 5 guys, and that enables that guy to play downhill. And if he's playing downhill, somebody's got to help. So one of those 3 guys, their man has to help, or he's going to go shoot a layup. So now if you have 3 guys capable of making shots on a very consistent basis, that's pretty good offense. We've had 2.5. We need 3.
From last year, which has made the most difference in your defense? The rim protector or the pressure on the ball? Guard that can handle that? Or are they equal?
I don't know that one is better or more important than the other one. I think what Keaty's done has been terrific, and I think what DC and Polly have brought us is, I mean, he's obviously it's not Sags, it's not Derek, but it makes people think. If you can make people think, now this isn't a game of thought. It's a game of reaction. And if you can make people hesitate and not react, it gives you a heck of an advantage. And that's what those guys do. And I think what Keaty does on the ball is make people more aware of where he is and what he's doing than what they're supposed to be doing.
Does their presence allow him to do more?
Their presence in the back?
Yeah, allow him to take
Oh,
a
yeah.
chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I heard Mike Tomlin say this about his team. He says he'd rather have volunteers than hostages. You think you got a team full of volunteers?
See, Mike's a lot smarter than I am. I don't know what that means.
Guys that are hungry, that want to be here, and guys that have to be here, that kind of thing.
Everybody wants guys that are hungry.
You think you have a team full of volunteers?
I don't know who in the hell would volunteer for that, but I think we have guys that are clamoring for a chance. I think more than a volunteer. I think they're clamoring for an opportunity. I think when you play at, name a school out there that's a lower level Division I school, and you go home, nobody's excited about it. I think we have guys who want to prove that they could play at the highest level of college basketball, which is what we do. And I think that's a great challenge for them, and they're excited about it. The volunteer and the other, that's way over my head.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.